Hello everyone! So I've got a fun video for us today. We are going to be trying 4 art programs, those being Krita, Firealpaca, Artweaver, and Gimp. This video is directed toward beginner artists who are wondering what they should start with when going into digital art. Which app would work best for a beginner? And I will be testing that today. For each program, I will give my first impressions of the UI, accessibility, their pens, features, and more. I will also be using this character of mine, Hannah, as the muse for this video. My goal is to give each individual app a fair shot, so I will be creating a full render of Hannah. Now, let's get into the video. Upon opening Firealpaca, the very first thing that I got was this cute little pop-up right here. Select Pen Pressure API. Now, I've never seen this with any art program that I've used before. That could be seen as a drawback, as you need to actually tell the software what exactly you're using. This means that the software can't detect what you're using to draw with. But that issue is fixed if you select the option that applies to your conditions. The first thing I notice about Firealpaca is how blindingly white it is. For a while I tried looking around to see if there was any way to go into dark mode in Firealpaca. I even looked it up on Google, but you can't, unfortunately. So if you're someone like me who isn't a fan of getting your eyes blasted, then be warned by the white interface. For canvases you can go standard, comic, animation, or template, which I think is really cool for a free app. For the drawing we're doing today, I went for 3000 by 3000 pixels. Something else that I immediately noticed was the fact that the brush sizes were on this side of the screen. And it wasn't a traditional slider either, they were preset sizes, which I thought were really weird. But just opposite the screen, there is in fact a brush size slider which you can use right above the opacity. Unless you're someone extremely specific about your size and just needs a quick access to it, then that's when I understand. Firealpaca also provides a reference window in the top corner. This allows you to see the full drawing in one small window even when you're zoomed in on your drawing process. It's extremely helpful when you need to be able to see what the full scale looks like while you're doing individual detail. A drawback I found with Firealpaca was the transform tool. Here I noticed that Hannah's nose was a bit too long for my liking, so I wanted to be able to use the transform tool to move the bottom of her nose up a little bit. My first instinct was to use the lasso tool, select the area that I wanted to move, and then try to transform it from there. However, there was no immediate option to do that. Instead, how I eventually found it was by looking through every single option up the top, going to select, and then finding the transform tool, which you can alternatively use the hotkeys Ctrl and T. Another difficulty with the transformation tool is you can move your subject wherever you want it to go. However, when you wish to move on, the subject won't actually move. To fix this, once you've got your subject in the space that you wish it to be, you actually have to go down to the bottom and press OK. This will officially lock in your change. Firealpaca has quite a diverse range of brushes. Big Katsu? Excuse me? What does that mean? Huh? What the hell is this? Honestly, Firealpaca really is a good option for beginners. It's simple, the brushes are really nice, and you're able to produce high quality illustrations using this program. I would recommend this to beginners. Now it's time to check out Gimp. I was so relieved seeing a dark interface. My eyes had been screaming using Firealpaca for so long. However, the first thing I realized was there's absolutely no color wheel. How am I meant to use anything? When I wanted to load in a canvas, it gave me this menu that looked oddly like a calculator. And there was a very limited option when it came to brushes. Paintbrush, pencil, airbrush, ink, and my paintbrush. That's all we get. I tested each one of these out and Yeah, I'm not gonna have fun. I did end up finding other brushes, along with this green pepper one for some reason. And don't worry, the other brushes were not good either. My first issue was I accidentally zoomed in and then I couldn't figure out how to zoom out. So I had to close the program and open it back up. Another very interesting issue was I messed up with the lasso tool, which is the easiest tool to use. I don't know. Like, I genuinely don't know what happened or why it was happening, but I got so mad. And I kid you not, I could not get rid of the lasso tool to the point where I literally could not draw anymore. It was over. I just couldn't do anything. So all we get is a simple sketch. With all the fairness I can give it, I do not recommend Gimp for a beginner artist. I don't recommend it for anyone. Don't use Gimp. Next is the absolute love of my life, Krita. I promise I will do an unbiased review. When I first tried Krita, I was extremely intimidated by its interface. Like, what am I even looking at? When I first started, I had no idea where to go. Everything looked too much. There's so many options and things to do for a free app, which is really good, but for a beginner, you don't know where to start. And unlike traditional software, you aren't immediately put into a blank canvas. Instead, you are in a completely different interface. For Krita, you can start a new project, view their community section, and view recent documents of what you have previously done within Krita. Once you press new file, you are then met with setting up your canvas. Within Krita, you can create your canvas, use an animation template, a comic template, a design template, a DSLR template, and finally a texture template. All of your brushes are located on the right hand side of your screen. For the sake of this video, I can't use the brushes that I already have in this section. The brushes I use are from Jazza Studios. So to make this a fair review of Krita, I'll have to use the Krita default brushes. I can do this just by scrolling down to where the default brushes start, which is right from this big eraser and down. Krita has a lot of brushes, but something that I love so dearly about Krita is the fact that you can actually see what the brushes are before you even select them. You can see which ones are pencils, ink pens, paint brushes, and more. Whereas with other programs, you only get the name of the brush and have to figure out how it works by actually applying it to your canvas. Unlike Firealpaca, if you want to use the transform tool, what you do is you use the lasso to select your area. Now there are a few things that you can do in this step. You can right click, which gives you a bunch of actions that you can do in this section. You can immediately use the transform tool right here. Or alternatively, after selecting your area, you go to the left hand side of the screen and select the 4 arrows. This allows you to move the section that you have selected wherever you want. Then, if you wish to resize, you go back to the left hand side and select the option that looks like a picture frame. This will allow you to make your subject bigger or smaller. With Firealpaca, you had to select OK in order to lock in your change, but with Krita, I can place my transformed subject wherever I want, whatever size I want, and it will immediately lock it in. I recommend Krita to beginners, and not just because of my endless bias for Krita, but because even with the advanced interface, it teaches a beginner a lot about digital art right away. But if you're someone who's a bit too afraid of all the options on the screen, then maybe trying Firealpaca first would be the go. It was for me. I did Firealpaca the first time that I did digital art too. The last program that we'll be using today is Artweaver. On first impressions, it's another app that uses a white interface, so do be aware of that. Something I'm also noticing right away is the fact that a lot of the menu options are quite large and jut out on the right side of the screen, forcing you to do your work on the left side of the screen. When I tried to move it in, that didn't work. Your only option is to make it bigger. Oh god. To find the brushes in Artweaver, you select the brush tool, and then you have to go up to the top and select the slider. This brings up all the brushes that you can use in this program. Within each category, there is a variety of different brushes that you can use. Personally, I really like the way that this is organized. You can also see right away what the brushes look like by seeing the visual of their stroke. Something that I noticed about Artweaver was it was a bit laggy. I closed multiple windows on my PC to see if that would work, and unfortunately no. Do you guys want to guess what my first issue was with Artweaver? I'll let you have a lucky guess. It's the issue that I've had throughout all of these apps, except for Krita. It's the damn lasso tool and transform tool. Are we kidding? If I wanted to transform a section, it wouldn't let me. It was forcing me to transform the whole image, which I didn't want to do. Another thing was I had such high expectations for the brushes in this software, but to be honest, they ended up not being that nice. One thing was it had no pressure sensitivity, and the textures of the brushes were just not that nice compared to Firealpaca and Krita. It was also a bit difficult for me to get into little details, but for what I got, it was decent. Would I recommend this for a beginner? I guess? If someone were to ask me in person what I should use to start digital art, would I say Artweaver? No, it would not cross my mind. And that wraps us up for this video. With all the frustrations I had, it was still fun to make this video. It was still fun to create these, and I was glad that I could make more drawings of my character because I love her a lot. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learnt something. If any of you guys have tips and tricks for any of these apps, please put them in the comments below. If there's a video idea that you'd like to see, also put that in the comments. Consider liking, subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one. Love you, bye!